what practice is. So I've been speaking about some of the ways that Joko addresses what practice is, and about the way for us to embrace, clarify, do what's called for. So I'm coming back to the first two that began this list. Joko says, practice is experiencing the truth of who we really are. And practice is being with our life as it is, not as we would like it to be. As it is, not as we would like it to be. Until we can see how and where practice is needed in our life, we are often unwilling to see life as it is for us, life as we live it, as opposed to how we like it to seem to us, to others, how we would like it to be. There's a sutra in what's known as the Bahiya Sutra in a Pali discourse known as Udana, which I've talked about in the past. Bahiya lives in the ocean, near the ocean, in what's modern-day Bombay in India. He's respected and considered a spiritual teacher, considers himself a spiritual teacher, and he's well supported by local people. It says actually he's much respected, and he believes himself to be either an arhat or at least on the path to becoming an arhat. The sutra says that a former relative, now a deva, some sort of, let us say, spirit, don't have to go into that in detail, approaches him in a compassionate way in order to say to him that he's not even on the path to becoming an arhat, much less actually one. Bahiya listens and takes this to heart in a way and turns around and asks, well, is there anyone in this world that is an arhat, an awakened one, on the path to becoming one? And his relative tells him that there's a Buddha who at that time was in what's known as Jeta's Grove in Savatthi, which is quite a distance away in what, if you know India, it's in in Uttar Pradesh, near the capital, northeast of its capital. So it's a distance away. Right away, for whatever reason, Bahia is ready for this. He leaves and he walks across half the Indian subcontinent till he reaches this place, Chaita's Grove. But the Buddha was out on morning begging rounds to gather food for meals. And when he learns this, Bahia goes to find him. And while the Buddha is in the streets begging, Bahia says to him, "Please give me instruction." Oh, the Buddha says, "This isn't the time for such things. I'm on begging rounds." Bahia insists. He says, "I don't know how long I'm going to live. None of us know how long we're going to live. I need to get instructions from you." Buddha puts him off. Bahia insists again. The Buddha puts him off. Bahia insists again. So 3 times Bahia asks the Buddha, so at that point the tradition is to give instructions then and there. If people ask you 3 times, even if it's inappropriate, inconvenient. Now, let's talk about what the instructions Buddha gave, to Bahia. He said, in what is seen, there should be just what is seen. In what is heard, just what is heard. In what is sensed, just what is sensed. In what is thought, cognized, just what is cognized. Thus, Bahia, you should train yourself this way. When it is that way for you, seen, just seen, heard, just heard, sensed, just sensed, cognized, just cognized. When it's like that for you, you won't be thereby, you won't be therefore, you won't be therein. When you're not therein, when you're not thereby, you'll be Bahia neither here nor there, nor anywhere else, but this itself is the end of suffering. This itself is the fundamental teaching of the Buddha. And it turns out Bahia was correct, the sutra says, because shortly thereafter, when he left the Buddha, he was killed. I've talked about it in the past, how he was killed and what he was killed. But the point is that I'm bringing this is the fundamental aspects of one teaching, but before that, the fundamental necessity, and I'll say this, the fundamental necessity over and over to see and acknowledge to ourselves how our life actually is the truth to ourselves, not how we would like it to be, or how, as this Bahia starts off with, how others even think of it, or how we present it to others, how is it, when is it, where is it I get entangled and create suffering? Where is it when I have thereby, therefore, therein, about events in my life, events in other people's lives, the consequences of what I do or don't do? That's what practice is. And it's difficult, as we see here. In one sense, it's very simple. Seeing, just see. Hearing, just hear. Even cognizing thoughts, just having thoughts. It's not a problem except what we do with it. The thereby, therefore, because of this, because of that, which, in another way to say it, is what we say when caught in self-centered thought. Holding to self-centered explanations, beliefs. He did that, she did this, it's their fault, it's unfair. Add the various other ways where we clash between what we want, even what we want to say to ourselves, and what is. How do we be that? The Buddha is very straightforward. Being everything, hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting, thinking, we could include in thinking, feeling, in the way we use the word emotion, and not entangling, or at least recognizing, so that we're seeing when we add that layer of thereby, therefore, there, etc., etc. He did it to me, she did it to me, they are wrong, I am right. The willingness to embrace when there's so-called pain or discomfort, whether it's physical, emotional, and ceasing to do more what's harming, what's my self-centered wants and not wants, entanglements, but rather being just this moment, including, as I said, thoughts, including so-called feelings, including everything that we think of as physically, mentally, this moment, us. And yet, the bareness of being that, as opposed to adding more, building more and acting out of the more, is what enables us to do, on the one hand, as Joko says, embracing everything that's a mess, and yet in that embracing, being able and willing to sense that all is well, as we, in a sense, respond to it, or are willing to say yes to everything, even what we hate, even when we hate this. How do we say yes without reacting out of our hating this moment? Or in Bahia's case, hating being told, oh, you're not not even close to whatever it is we want, think, enjoy. It's not so. It's coming back to this willingness. If we say practice is this willingness to be, just be, which is what the Buddha says. Being just hearing, being just seeing, being just the thoughts, being just the, you add on more. Being willing to even see through our, we can call them beliefs. Shojoko said, even if those beliefs remain, if we can see them as they arise, see them so that we don't act out therein, therefore, because of this, I should do that, I should, then they no longer run us. See, this is what practice is. This is practice of life as is, life as is. And none of us want it. Sometime, somewhere in our daily activities, in our weekly activities, if we're willing to be present, we will see ways we don't want it. Sometimes we only see it after we've reacted out of it. We make it solid and insist this is the way it should be. And yet, as I mentioned earlier, practice is being no one, just being, or at least beginning to learn to notice, and in some sense, in noticing bit by bit, moment, just this moment, shedding that, being no one. Just this moment, allowing what seems solid and true, just this, giving up its solidity. That's the saying yes to what we hate. Can we say yes to what we hate right now when and you fill in the name of the person, sister, daughter, friend, not friend, relative, is nice to us, not nice to us, excluding us, including us, being stupid, being foolish, no matter what. How do we say yes to this moment as is? This moment as is isn't some abstraction out there, but it's our life in the universe with various people and various beings, and our, if I say it, judgments and beliefs about what they are or aren't doing, what's, quote, justified, correct, what's unjustified, what's even, quote, mean, uncalled for. That's the thing. Saying yes, even when we hate it, even when we dislike it, even if it makes us jump out of our skin almost. And yet, how do we rest in that to the extent that we can? That's the practice of willingness to be. And none of us are exempt from finding times, persons, places where we're unwilling to be it, where we encounter it, whether it's in simple things of people that we see in our life, much less if you look at the media, people and things that we see going on all over the world. The media is always happy to point out those things to you and then give you all the reasons why they are terrible, should never be, we should do something about it. You need to think about how terrible they are. Saying yes doesn't mean agreeing to what's not appropriate and skillful. And yet we have to say yes to it being just as is. And especially if it's something that all of a sudden we find ourselves in the midst of, and I hate this, how could I do it when I'm here? And yet they're doing it. Sometimes it could be some minor thing that no one even knows that you hate, and yet you feel like you're jumping out of your skin being there while everyone else is doing it, or being it, or acting it out, or agreeing about it. This is our gift to ourselves, our gift to the universe, our gift to everyone that we share life. The willingness to be with them as they are, the willingness to just be there, even when we're certain that the way it is, quote, stupid, is foolish, is inappropriate, is certainly wrong. Now, if something's harmful or dangerous, etc., we're not talking about a stupid willingness to be, a foolish willingness to be. If someone's in a car and the car is smoking and you're driving and you say, it's time for us to pull over and turn off the car, and they say, oh, no, it's fine, I'll just keep it. And again, you could do it now. That's that kind of, it's not some kind of foolishness to say, oh yeah, I'm willing to be whatever the car is and they're doing it. Okay, no problem. But we're not talking about that. And we know the difference. Otherwise, you could say, yeah, well, life as it is, that's my practice. Everything the way it is. I don't say anything when the car is smoking, or when there's dripping oil and they're smoking. Oh yeah, there's a little oil dripping in the car, but no problem. I'll just smoke here. Hey, nothing will happen. I'm sure it's never happened before that we've had problems with this. So practice isn't a practice of being stupid practice. That's kind of rigidity. But how do we be, as Joko says, a life-centered perspective, a life-centered action, as opposed to my self-centered perspective? So, in a way, Sesshin gives us this opportunity to be here, and then, in a sense, then go out into the world. We've discovered all sorts of wonderful opportunities in just sitting upright and still. And then, today's the last day of my talking. We'll sit again. We'll sit later. Today we'll continue sitting, and then tomorrow, and then we'll end Sesshin. So then we go out back into all these circumstances, or back into some circumstances where it's not so simple and straightforward as sitting, walking, service, meals. It's all of these circumstances, some of which we've talked about in what practice is. There is our opportunity to manifest our life of practice, or at least notice where the opportunity and effort of life of practice comes forth, where the effort needs to come forth despite the discomfort and even sometimes painfulness of the circumstance and the practicing. Despite our fear that if I do that, I cease to be, and you fill in. I am not, and you fill in. I hate it, and you fill in. Thank you.